Said people, welcome to Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. newscast coming to you live from Royal 88.4 FM. Cameroon celebrates World Customs Day today. What perception do Cameroonians have for the customs sector in the country?
Well, to me, the customs sector in Cameroon is doing well.
When they go out to search, they leave their work to do another type of work. There's an issue of bribing and corruption.
Stay tuned for this and more in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. And to come in this edition, we are going to talk about the health and security situation of workers in Cameroon. And in sports, join Ben Emmanuel Kumanai as we talk about the 2020 African Football Nation Championship taking place in Cameroon. Good afternoon once again. My name is Abel Bela Samari. We open our news, like I said, in our late story today, January the 26th, 2021. It's been observed as International Customs Day under the theme Custom, Blogging, Recovering, Renewal and Resilience. It will focus on the endeavors of customs to emerge from the pandemic crisis and help people. The day recognizes the role of customs officials as an agency in maintaining the flow of goods across the world border. In line with this day, our reporter, Finwick Crispin, in the following report, interviews some Yaoundé city dwellers to know what they think about the customs sector in the country.
Customs is an authority or agency in the country responsible for collecting and safeguarding customs duties and for controlling the flow of goods. As Cameroon joins the rest of the world to celebrate International Customs Day, some Yaoundé denizens have diverse opinions concerning the customs sector in Cameroon.
Well, to me, the customs sector in Cameroon is doing well.
Yeah, with the customs sector in Cameroon, actually they are doing their work, and what they are doing is good.
Colombo is a mechanic. He says though they do their job, they always end up derailing from the right track.
The work they do sometimes, when they go out to search, they leave their work to do another type of work. There's an issue of bribing and corruption. So it makes that sometimes, for instance, an importer want to come in with a car that the custom duty might cost about 1 million francs. But you discover that to give you the right price, you go in, instead of the 1 million, you pay the 1 million in the office. Along the line, you pay another more than 200 or 300,000 again on the road.
He further says there are a lot of readjustments to be made in the customs sector in Cameroon.
They have to ameliorate so many things. We have to have a fixed tariff, a fixed price for each and everything that is coming in. We have to think about the head, because sometimes what the man is taking in the office, the boss is expecting higher over there. The customs sector also needs serious work. They have to do some check-ins, because the people they send on fee, they are always different from the people in the office.
In a nutshell, on the occasion of the International Customs Day, the customs sector, according to Cameroonians, should improve in its efficiency and reduce bad practices.
Finwick Spain, in that report, starts still talking about the World Customs Day. A reporter, Jementa, spoke with an economist to find out how the customs sector is faring and what view do they have concerning the custom, the role of the custom in the emerging economy of Cameroon.
One aim of customs is to reinforce collaboration, harnessing technology and putting people at the center of transformation process. But the point of view of an economist is more concise. Chene Constantine is an economist.
There is a special taxation group of people who collect taxes on goods that enter a country, and these taxes are known as import duties or tariffs or custom duties. Some of the taxes are ad valorem, which means that it's according to the quality of the good charge, and they also collect some taxes for goods that go out of the country that we call the export duties. I think the domain has been waxing strong ever since the new customs director Novala came in, because he has greatly improved on custom revenue.
Customs at times are referred to be incompetent, and to find out if customs meet up with their tax, this economist says,
I think they're bringing in a lot of revenue given these difficult moments with the COVID and the fact that the petroleum resources are now gaining less revenue. I think the custom revenue has been there to sustain the payment of civil servants in Cameroon. I think if we were to grade the customs department now, grade them 80% plus, which is a very, very good score when you compare the other activities in Cameroon.
These economists further emphasize on the work these customs carry out.
Such containers, especially at the ports in Douala, because I also happen to be an economic operator and I used to go for the visit. There are goods they seize that are contraband. Sometimes wines are coming from Equatorial Guinea, illicitly that are passed through borders from Europe, also being seized. They are doing a good job in reducing illicit medical drugs that come in from Nigeria and from other countries, equal hard drugs like cocaine, marijuana and the rest.
Although customs has a great role to play, these economists highly expect that local products should be valued in Cameroon. Chene Constantine once more.
I expected the central government to have hit harder on the importation of rice. So if the government of Cameroon could revamp the rice farms in Dog, strengthen the rice farms in Semri in the far north, develop the Tungo in Bafut, improve on the Sancho rice farms, and more areas in the north that can cultivate rice will all be very fine. Every year, rice takes about 600 billion for us imported rice, which is not a good figure, because if we limited that amount, if we could be self-sufficient in the promotion of rice, then Cameroon will surely meet the emergency by 2035.
While customs are striving to meet up with that tax, promoting local products is highly expected from the government in the bid to improve our living conditions. Abel.
Germain, in that report, and from the custom we talk education. In this newscast, to look at corruption in our school milieu, a communique signed by the Minister of Basic Education, Laura Session Tudingua, suspended the Director of Public Schools for corruptions on January 19. Though this decision does not state the nature of the act or the time limits of suspension, it still causes great effect in the education affair. To this effect, the question arises as to if in the other educational levels, the rate of corruption is active or not. Our reporter, Susan Nayonge, tell us more.
Acts of bribery and corruption are still a topic of discussion nowadays. Be it in offices or schools, some cases may be either brought to the limelight or are still hidden. Corruption is known as a dishonest offense taken by someone to acquire illicit benefit for private gain. For this university student in Yaoundé, corruption is still very rampant.
For me, the rate of corruption has not reduced, even in university. For example, in our class, now you see students that are not even coming to school, but they end up having marks. Then even when results come out, you see students that have repeated, but you are surprised to see them in the next class that they've gone and paid, they have changed their marks, and they have a relevant note that shows they have been promoted, whereas they have repeated.
She believes that much is still to be done at that level. Just like her, another student says corruption is still visible, though he thinks that there are a few improvements on harnessing it.
I think, to be objective, that there are some improvement as far as corruption is concerned. I would say it is more hidden than it was maybe years before. I'll take the example of one lecturer from my department, whom last year were known from collecting 10Ks from students, and he was also known for giving marks according to the amount that a student may put in his booklet.
According to this secondary school teacher, who wishes to keep anonymity, he is a living witness of corruption.
I personally do not have anything to do with bribery when it comes to marks. I have some colleagues who practice such acts of taking money from students to fix their marks, while others rather seek for other methods of payment from young girls, for example. But what can I do about it? I'll try at my level to report them to the higher authorities, but to no avail. I do not want any problem. I have my family to take care of.
Still going by sources, a lot is expected from the National Anti-Corruption Commission at all levels of educational institutions. Hopes are that someday this phenomenon will just be history.
Indeed, Susan Nayonge, we pray for that day where corruption will be shown the way out in Cameroon. We talk politics in this newscast to say presidential decree signed on January the 25th, 2021 has appointed secretary generals to all 10 regional councils. This appointment comes barely 3 days after the installation of regional councillors executive presided over by different representatives of the 10 regional governors. According to this degree, Mr. Aliyu Mal Ibrahim goes to the Adamawa region as the Secretary General. Mr. Mikanda Allen Patrice II moved to the Central region. Mr. Moyong Bokasanga Michel is for the East region. Mr. Muhammad Sani is the new Secretary General for the Far North region. In the Littoral region, we have Mr. Noke Ngwese Anthony. In the North region, Mr. Bobo Nuku is the Secretary General. In the Northwest region, we have Mr. Peter Gio Yerima. In the West region, we have Mrs. Etoki Silva Esuno, who is the only lady amongst the 10 appointees. In the South region, Mr. Bohabeya Henry Joel is the Secretary General. While over in the Southwest region, we will have Mr. Gilbert Acha Quenti. And in that light, our reporter Jessica Atsangana spoke with an expert in decentralization and governance in the person of Dr. Godwill Konso and compiled the following report for us.
Onto the presidential decree signed on Monday, January 25, 2021, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, has appointed Secretaries General to the 10 regional councils in Cameroon. The appointment of these new Secretaries General comes to lead the regional executive pioneer to ensure that the special status granted to the 2 Anglophone regions should be put in place. Despite these nominations, I met Dr. Godwill Konso, expert in governance, who explained the role of these Secretaries Generals to edify us.
They played a role like the Secretary Generals in the local councils. The only difference is that they are being appointed by the head of state. They run the daily activities of the council. They draft the administrative act in the councils, and basically that's just all. They really don't have any role to play in terms of development. That's why the councils have committees in which issues on development or on different areas of development are being discussed. So the Secretary General is just an executive body within the council. Since he is not elected, he is being appointed.
Not being elected but appointed, they play no major role in politics, as he explains. Still, Dr. Godwill Konso.
They are not politicians. They are like administrators in the council. So they're just part of the executive. So they don't have any impact in terms of politics. They have really nothing. It's about keeping administrative accounts, drafting the date from administrative act, writing report. Basically, that's what the Secretary Generals would do in the council. They are not elected. The people to whom the people have given, or in the big electors gave their mandates, are those that the people are looking up to bring about development. They are like catalysts. That's just all they have to do.
However, with the appointment of these Secretaries General of regional councils, we still await for the appointment of 2 public independent councilors in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon to complete the special status.
Jessica Tsangana in that report. You are listening to Royal Afternoon Edition in the 2 p.m. newscast coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM, and still to come in the course of this newscast, we look at the health and security situation of workers in Cameroon. What does the law say?
An employee in Cameroon, if recruited by an employer, by the labor code, must benefit from security that is attached depending on the nature of the job. But health security is one of the securities that an employee must guarantee his workers.
We take some governmental news to say the minister delegate at the presidency of the Republic in charge of public contract, Ibrahim Taba Malah, has today in Yaoundé chaired deliberations via video conferences on the national development strategy for the year 2021. Mr. Ibrahim Taba Malah now highlights some major concern for his ministerial department for the year 2021.
The priority is to intensify our control. I think the control is a very key issue because we award the contract, but in fine we did not receive what normally they could do. So you have the map to control it. As far as the activities are concerned, we have to control so that the people can benefit from this investment.
We stay at the level of the president to say that the minister delegate at the presidency of the republic in charge of defense hereby informs clearly and firmly that since the recent publication of the notice of competitive entrance examination and recruitment of cadet officers and non-commissioned officers and rank and file for the year 2021, his services and those of the military sector have been flooded with requests for waiving of the age limit by candidates who excel the various age clearly stipulated for application. The minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense remind everyone that these requests, wherever they come from, shall not be pursued. Irregular application shall bitterly be attended to, but be it in the regional office or the defense sector of the defense sector where documents are supposed to be applied. Lastly, the minister delegate at the presidency of the republic in charge of defense cautioned candidates and their relative against the maneuver of some unscrupulous individual attempting to extort money from applicants by possessing as intermediary between the candidate and the Ministry of Defense. It is therefore imperative to quickly denounce any such person to the forces of law and order. As we celebrate the Land Tenures Week, the Minister of State Property, Surveyor Land Tenure, says there is need to renew the 1974 Land Ordinance law so as to take into account the new dynamism of land management in Cameroon. Minister Harry Ayebesi was speaking in Yaoundé yesterday while opening a week-long reflection for actors of the land tenure sector drawn from across the country. The reflection falls in line with the third edition of the Land Tenure Week placed under the theme Local Management of Land in Cameroon, a useful insight on the expectation of the reflection. Here now is the Minister of Land Tenure, Harry Ayebesi.
We are committed in creating the opportunity, a large forum, all the actors who are involved to help the government create conditions, how to assure, how to combine the best use of the available land for the interest of development, how to combine this and keeping peace and social cohesion in Cameroon. We are now working on the draft of the new, let's say, land law in Cameroon that had been prescribed by His Excellency President Paul Biya Bolova 2011. We are involved in the finalization of the draft of the bill concerning this new law on land. On these days, we are working to create conditions for the best use.
Is very important in the reflection week.
We have to use land for development, and at the same time, people living in the same environment should try as much as possible to sit down and work together. And I think that the local administrative authorities play an important role, even when the government has to take land for developmental purposes. This workshop is very important because at least all the stakeholders will know intention after an important seminar like this is to avoid confusion and avoid all this so-called land grabbing.
And on to something else, like you heard in our breaker, employers in Cameroon have been called upon to respect the labor codes when it comes to the health, safety, and security of workers. The employers is directly responsible for implementation of all preventive health and safety measures to ensure the protection of his workers' health. This comes at a time when a petroleum company known as Perico in Cameroon have recorded in a space of 8 months 3 deaths due to negligence to maintain the security and health of its employees. As a result of this situation, our newsroom thought it wise to interview a legal mind in the person of Barrister Don Christopher, who in the following soundbite says the employee must benefit from security from the employer.
An employee in Cameroon, if recruited by an employer, by the labor code, must benefit from security that is attached depending on the nature of the job. But health security is one of the securities that an employee must guarantee his workers, depending on the nature of the job, I repeat. If it comes in cases of accidents, it is stipulated that accidents are categorized either during working hours. If you are accidented during working hours at work, the employee must take full responsibility. And before being employed, the employer's task is to register the employee at the National Social Insurance Fund. That is where all risks are being covered by that fund. But for the employer to be hands off, he has to register his employee with the National Social Insurance Fund. If the employee is not given this social security, the entire burden lies on the employer. He has to, when the occasion arises, to cover all of that to make sure the health of that worker is retained or regained. So we have two forms. One, either the employer decides to register his employee with social insurance and be free from all other risk, or he does not do it, and when the time comes, he bears the brunt. That is the situation an employee has as advantage when he's employed. But
Barrister Don Christopher goes further to say,
where we find many cases in Cameroon is most employer do not respect that norms. So for that reason, you see, it is a real problem. Most employer they don't take people to social insurance, and even when the people fall ill and all of that, they don't take care. So you see, the country is the way it is, and because of the non-organization of this sector trying to cover up with this security situation, it poses a problem. Most people who benefit from social security are the civil servants, and some well-to-do companies and international organizations, they cover all of that. But some unscrupulous business people do not. And because they feel people lack employment and there is, in fact, a lot of things to do, they don't do some of those things they get away with. And of course, they are always there to fight against their employer when they claim their right.
Barrister Don Christopher, and what are the rules of trade union is to make sure that the safety and health security of workers is ensured in our workplace? Is a question our reporter Jementa put to Acha Tilaros, a member of the Cameroon Journalism Trade Union, who had this to say.
The trade unions are fighting to make life better for their workers. So is the case with journalism trade unions that are fighting to see their journalists survive, they stay alive in order to tell the story. We are trying to see that the image of journalism is seen as a watchdog in society and not as enemy of the state. It's unfortunate that when it comes to healthcare and social security, many media employers do not live up to their obligations of registering workers with the National Social Insurance Fund. Although this is an obligation they have to meet in order to receive government support to the media. We have media owners who, instead of registering their workers to the Social Insurance Fund, they prefer to register their children, their wives, and use these documents to get the media aid, with which they feed their families, live lavish lives without paying the salaries of journalists, without ensuring the social security of journalists. So it's a battle in progress. I'm sure someday we'll get there. But then we advise colleagues to ensure that they sign contracts, to ensure that they get registered with the same pairs, to ensure that they don't work for free, because it's not possible that you go to school, you come out, you work for free when you have rent and bills to pay. All of this is work in progress, and I think it's a collective effort of everybody that we have to come and unite and see how things can be made better.
And on to this note, 452 tenants have been called up to exit the homes of the Société Immobilière du Cameroun SIC for unpaid rent. This amount was made in a communique signed by the Director General of the company. There is a list issued of the debtors in the delegations of Yaoundé and Douala, which also cover Betua, Boya, Limbe and Garwa. The amount unpaid sum up to 431 billion francs CFA, and they have been given 1 month to liberate the premises according to the law in force. We take you out of the country. And out of the country, first stop to the Central African Republic, where officials in that country says government troops have killed 44 rebel fighters who have surrounded the capital Bangui in an attempt to overthrow the new administration. A government spokesman told French news agency that soldiers have captured the village of Buda with the help of Russia paramilitaries. And still out of the country, the Republic of Congo finished Group B winners with 7 points after a late victory against Niger yesterday in their final group game of the ongoing 2020 African Nation Football Championship. The Leopards will face host nation Cameroon in the quarterfinal this Saturday at the Japuma Stadium in Douala. Congo Republic will finish second on the log and entertain Mali at the Amadou Ayo Stadium still on that Saturday. Mbeng Emmanuel.
There was an outburst of joy among fans of the Democratic Republic of Congo as the Leopards survived a scare to beat Niger and book a place into the last 8 of the 2020 African Nations Football Championship at the Amadou Ahijo Stadium. It was an all-Congolese affair on Monday.
Sports Complex.
The 2021 African Nations Football Championship, Chan Cameroon. That was our special page in the news.
Cameroon under-20 Lions will face host nation Mauritania in the opening match of the 2021 under-20 African Cup of Nations, slated to run from February the 14th to March the 6th, 2021. The fixture was confirmed at the end of draw ceremony, which took place in Yaoundé yesterday. Uganda and Mozambique will play the second game in Group A. Group B consists of Burkina Faso, Tunisia, Namibia, and the Central African Republic, while Ghana, Tanzania, Gambia, and Morocco complete Group C. Let's now listen to Seydou Bobonjoya, the interim president of FECAFOOT, after that draws.
Satisfied because we have the honor to have the opening match, to participate to the opening match. Regarding the groups, I think there is nothing to say about that because the 12 teams are good. Whatever the groups that we will have been in, it's going to be anyway difficult for everyone to be qualified. So the most important thing is to have this honor to opening the competition. And then I think our team is prepared to honestly to defend our laws, whatever the group we are going to be.
And joining me in the studio is Benoit Bagoda, who is here with a summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon to you, Benoit.
Bon après-midi et belle Bella Samari. Journée mondiale de la douane, l'événement se célèbre ce 26 janvier. Au Cameroun, la douane se porte mal à cause du coronavirus qui paralyse